everyone, and welcome to Daggerfall. This has been a long time coming. I'm so excited to get into this. Daggerfall is maybe one of my favorite games ever. It's such a good game. It's got atmosphere. It's got a pretty good gameplay for what it is. And this game is very chill. It's very relaxed. At least I think so. This just it scratches this itch that no other game seems to come close to scratching. It's such like a good game to have on in the background, to just listen to my podcast with it, or a book, play it just to relax. This is such a relaxing game for me. So this playthrough I'm going to be playing on Daggerfall Unity, which is kind of like OpenMW, if you know that. It fixes a lot of the bugs. It makes the game a lot better performing. It's the way to play in 2025. Let's be honest. So without further ado, let's begin. All right, here we are. This is the race selection screen. So you click on the home province of the race that you want to play. Unfortunately, orcs are not a playable race yet, and Imperials don't even exist. So if I click here, nothing happens. The races from top to bottom are: Bretons are from High Rock, Red Guards are from Hammerfell, Nords are from Skyrim, Dark Elves are from Morrowind, Argonians, which in this game are pretty interesting. They're like humans with some lizard properties on them. They're from Blackmarsh. Khajiit from Elsewire are also... They're basically cat girls of the Elder Scrolls universe. Wood Elves are from Valenwood, and finally High Elves from Somerset. There are racial bonuses, but they're not all that important to factor in, because most of them are... they're nice to have, but they're not necessary, you know? So, I mean, there's one race where it's like really powerful, and that's the Red Guards. And I'm gonna choose a Red Guard this playthrough. So, Red Guards get a bonus to both attack, so like they hit more often, and they also do more damage. And it's based off of how high their level is, so it's very powerful. So let's go ahead and click Red Guard. Red Guards hail from the province of Hammerfell. You are a part of a dark-skinned people, extremely hardy and quick. Legend has it that the Red Guard are innately more proficient with weaponry than any other race. In general, Red Guards make excellent warriors. Is your character to be a Red Guard? Yes. And now you get to choose your gender. It has no bearing on gameplay what your gender is. So I'm just going to go ahead and click female. Would you like to A, choose from a list of possible classes to play? You can also create your own class by choosing this option. Or B, generate your character's class by answering 10 questions to determine the class most compatible to you. We kind of skipped over the questionnaire last time, and I think we'll go ahead and do it this time. Why not? Alright, so here we are. This is the personality quiz. There's the answers, and there's the questions and answers down here, and it will light up the constellation corresponding to it, which is like Thief, Mage, and Warrior. And based on how many of each category you get, you'll get one of the classes. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. A friend has, on several occasions, made remarks about how much he likes a particular gold ring of yours. One day, you discover that this ring is missing, and after making a thorough search, find it in a coat your friend has left in the pantry. Are you most inclined to A, ask your friend how he came about the ring, reasoning that it is highly probable he found it, and meant to return it to you? B, confront him with its theft. You know that there is no way the ring fell into his pocket by accident, and therefore he is nothing but a common thief who would betray you for material gain. Or C, say nothing, deciding instead to wait and see what your friend does. If he is innocent or guilty, you will know by whatever action he takes. At that time, you can confront him with the truth. I think we're gonna ask him. And that's warrior. You have a great aunt and a great uncle living in 2 different nearby villages, both of whom have asked your father to allow you to live with them for a few weeks. Your father knows where he plans to send you, but he is curious about your opinion. Given the choice, you would rather A. Live with your great aunt, a wise old woman of considerable wealth. Living in luxury for a few weeks could not only be enlightening, it could also be very interesting. B. Live with your great uncle, a sick old man who has always been something of a stranger to you. A few weeks with him may be arduous, but he is in more need of your help than your great aunt. Or C. Think of a way to divide your time between your great aunt and great uncle. Perhaps you will not be able to spend as much time with either as much as you would like, but neither will be left out. I think I'm gonna do that one. That's a point in mage. Alright. You and your best friend buy your first daggers together, a matched pair. You loan him the amounts since he doesn't have enough gold, and he agrees to pay you back later. After leaving the shop, you and he sit down to marvel at your new weapons. To your dismay, you notice that there is a small notch on the blade of the dagger you selected. Your friend asks you to please watch his weapon for a while he runs an errand. Do you A. Wait for your friend's return to point out the flaw in your dagger and return to the weapons shop to demand a refund? B. Switch the daggers, rationalizing that since you paid for them, you should get the first choice, and that if your friend ever notices the notch, you could always take him back to the weapons shop and get a refund? Or C. Keep his dagger safe until his return, then switch the daggers with your best friend's knowledge, justifying it with the fact that you paid for them, and then offer to accompany him back to the weapons shop. Obviously, it's no question. You gotta wait for your friend to come back and then return with him. One summer afternoon, your father gives you a choice of chores. Would you rather A. Work in the forge with him, casting iron for a new plow? B. Gather herbs for your mother, who is preparing dinner? Or C. Go catch fish at the stream using a net and line? We're gonna gather herbs. Your cousin has given you a very embarrassing nickname, and even worse, likes to call you it in front of your friends. You've asked him to stop, but he finds it very amusing to watch you blush. What do you do? A. Make an even more embarrassing nickname for him and use it constantly until he learns his lesson. B. Make up a story that makes your nickname a badge of honor instead of something humiliating. Or C. Beat up your cousin. Tell him that if he ever calls you that nickname again, you will bloody him worse than this time. I mean, I guess I would do this. It is a particularly grueling class. Your arms master has been unreasonably demanding on everyone, including you. His criticisms border on abuse, and it seems he has no positive comments to make. He turns to berate you at the end of class, and over his shoulder, you see some classmates put an aggressive but non-poisonous snake in his hand sack. You would A. Do nothing. The great arms master needs a dose of humility, and this might be a good way of paying him back for all the misery he has put you through today. B. Tell him you saw a snake creep into his hand sack, but do not tell him what your classmates did. No reason to get anyone in even further trouble. Or C. Immediately tell him what the classmates did. There is no excuse for treating a seasoned fighter like him with disrespect, regardless of his treatment to you that particular day. I think I would be doing this because doing C, that's social suicide. And then A is kind of a bit much. I mean, I guess it depends. If I were in this situation, I think I'm gonna do B. Your arms master, during a lesson on strategy, remarks, "The best victory is to completely and totally humiliate your opponent." He then turns to you and asks if you agree with him. You know the arms master has been in numerous life and death conflicts and has the experience of a seasoned warrior. Do you A. agree with his remark, knowing that at this moment your experience is not enough to justify any stance, but total agreement with whatever your arms master says, a man who has dedicated his life to strategy? B. Disagree with his remark, reasoning that it must be some type of test, and that the truth will only come from opposition with his opinion and not sheep-like agreement. Or C. Refuse to answer the question, choosing to withhold an opinion until you have more experience and can converse on the subject in an intelligent manner with him. This is kind of weird. I mean, of these ones, I guess it would be C, but I do disagree with that statement. The best victory is any victory, let's be honest. When it comes to life and death, yeah, anyways. Let's go with C. Your arms master introduces a new student to the class, a small, awkward boy named TES, who does not seem to have any natural talent at all. The class is divided into two sides for a mock battle, and as one of the generals, you are to assign your soldiers. TES is one of your men. You decide to A. put TES at the front line with the other fighters, rationalizing that in any realistic battle, he would probably be a casualty anyways, and that there must be some sacrifices. B. Use TES as a scout, rationalizing that because of his small size, he would probably be good at sneaking in and gathering information on the enemy. Or C. Assign TES to several posts during the course of the battle, staying near and helping him so he can gain valuable experience and improve. I mean, if you can truly do this, that's obviously the best choice. I think I'm gonna go with C. But no, actually I'm gonna go with B. Because I have other people than TES. TES is new, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you should pick on him or anything like that, but TES is kind of an unknown wild card, right? The other people don't know him either. I think we're gonna go with B. You are at weapons practice. Your arms master is very old now, but takes his teaching very seriously. You have heard him say it is all he has left in his life. Today, he has ceaselessly taunted you at every mistake. Finally, he asks you to attack him with the same technique you just did, in an effort to show you the proper execution. Do you A. do the technique just fast enough so that he can block it, knowing that it is more important to allow the master to retain dignity, regardless of your personal feelings? B. Attack him at full speed, knowing you could probably score the hit, and justify his unfair treatment of you by showing the class that you were actually doing it right. Or C. Refuse and leave practice, unable to compromise your anger with his dignity, and realizing that whatever course you choose would cause you to lose respect for either him or yourself. I think we're gonna do that one. I mean, if the teacher is just being very confrontational with you, the best thing to do is, and it's like an off day, the best thing to do is just let it, like, because some people are like actually just like blowing typhoons, and it's impossible to have a good resolution where everyone's happy. So let's go with C. Your mother asks you to help fix the stove. While you are working, a very hot pipe slips its moorings and falls towards her. Do you A. push your mother out of the way, B. grab the hot pipe and try to push it away, or C. position yourself between the pipe and your mother? So here's the thing. If you push the mom, she might stumble a bit. assuming you don't like knock her over outright. I wouldn't do that. I'd push her just out of the way. She'll stumble a bit, but it's a hot pipe, slipping and falling. If you try and grab it, you're gonna burn yourself. If you try and position yourself, again, why would you do that? Alright. Healer. Healers use their magic to treat injuries and cure illnesses. Their function is primarily defensive in nature. The most important skills to a healer are restoration, medical, dodging, thaumaturgy, mysticism, and alteration. Do you wish your character to be a healer? Healer isn't even that bad of a class. I'm gonna be honest, pre-made classes in this game are kind of weak. We're not gonna go with the pre-made class. So if you click no here, you get to the list. Here's all the classes. So the issue is with the pre-made classes, the pre-builds. Most of them are pretty bad because like only a couple of them, I think it's like what, Knight and like a couple others. What is it? Only 3 classes can use plate armor. That's Knights, Rogues, or no, it's Knights, Rangers, and Warriors. And it's like, why? Because plate armor is very important in the late game if you're not using magic, right? So if you're playing as any other class that isn't a spellcaster, that doesn't have increased intelligence, and doesn't have increased magery, you're just going to end up being very squishy, very quick to die, unless you buy potions, which then you have to buy every single cast of shield or whatever you're going to use. So I'm going to go for a custom class. So let's see, here's the class screen. Let's name the class Night Blade, because I'm going to be a Night Blade. Alright, let's start out with attributes. I'm gonna say what attributes do in order. Let me pull up the wiki. That way I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, attributes. Okay, so strength here. Strength is, what it does is, the first thing it does is it modifies the melee damage you can do. The equation here is your strength minus 50 divided by 5. So that means at 100 strength, the maximum modifier you can get to your damage output is 10. Alright, the next thing it does is your encumbrance, which is your carry weight. You get, it's your strength times 1.5. So the maximum you can have is 150. And then the final thing is something it has in common with endurance. It modifies your maximum fatigue, which is your strength plus your endurance. Intelligence. Intelligence is very simple. It modifies how much magic you have, how much spell points you have. Very powerful. It's probably the top stat to have in the game. But that's all it does. Willpower. Willpower is the only thing it affects is spell resistance. So if you have what is it? For every 10 points of your willpower, it's 1 point of spell resistance, at a maximum of 10 at 100 willpower. Agility. Agility was a god tier stat in Arena, but here not so much. So what agility does is it modifies your hit chance. The thing is, so here's how agility works. For every 10 points after 50, you get a modifier to your agility of +1. So at maximum 100 agility, you get +5 to your not only attack, but also hit. Which sounds great, and it was great in Arena. However, in this version, not so much. The reason why is because in Arena, it was a D20 system. So +5 what every 1 point was like 5% increase in chances. So +5 was basically a 25% increase in the amount of times you hit or dodged, which is amazing. However, in Daggerfall, they changed it from a D20 system to a D100 system, which meant every +1 was a literal 1%. So at maximum agility, 100 agility, all those points you've invested into it, you only get a 5% increase to your chances to dodge and hit things, which is going to be massively less than you can get just through your equipment, through the level of your weapons and armor. Endurance, what endurance does, it does a lot of things. First off, every 10 points of endurance increases how much health you regenerate while you're resting. But it's only health, not spell points. So every spell points will always take 8 hours to regenerate when you're resting. But with a higher endurance, if you have full spell points, you will take less time to heal your health, and I also think your fatigue. The second thing that it does is it modifies how much health you gain per level, and that's not retroactive. So the formula for that is your endurance minus 50 divided by 10. So again, you can only have up to a +5. However, a +5 is massive whenever you're talking about per level, because usually the level cap is around 30. I think in Daggerfall Unity it's lower because of how they change class making. You get a little bit more points into your skills in class making in Daggerfall Unity. But anyways, endurance is a really good stat. I'd say that's the third most important stat to have. Personality modifies how NPCs react to you. It's basically whenever you arrive at a town and you have some sort of objective there, you can ask the townsfolk. You open up a different menu. It's like a talking menu, and you ask them, "Hey, where's this place?" And you have that's what perception makes it easier to get them to say where you need to go. So it's like, "Hey, where's this building in town?" And they'll be like, "I don't know," or "Go away, you stink," or something like that, if you have a low personality. But if you have a higher one, they're more likely to actually answer you. However, I've never had to deal with that ever in all the time I've been playing Daggerfall, because usually you can just spam it until you get like a critical success or something like that. So it's not really that important. However, Daggerfall Unity, you definitely want your perception to be at least 40. Because once it's below that, they actually the consequences actually become consequences. In speed is I'd say speed is the second most important stat. First, if you're not going to do any spell casting, because what speed does, well, first off, it modifies how fast you walk and run, which is already pretty great because you can actually dodge and weave out of enemies' attacks. But here's what's so great about it. It affects how quickly you swing your weapon. And that's really important in this game, because the only way to increase how fast you swing your weapon, no matter what weapon it is through speed. So every single weapon in the game swings at the same speed, depending on what your character's attribute speed is. So a dagger will swing just as fast as a warhammer. So once you get to 100 speed, you swing so fast that enemies will die in seconds. It's actually insane, especially if you're using a higher damage skill like long blade or like blunt with the warhammers. And finally, luck. Luck, the only thing it does, it's like a second agility. It also increases your hit chance. Like I said, it's not that important in this version of this version of the system, because again, everything's a D100, so it's literally like +1%. Okay, let's go ahead and modify these. Let's take willpower down to raise intelligence. Let's take agility down to raise endurance. Let's take personality down to raise speed. And before you start saying, hey, didn't you say not to keep it below 40? Don't worry. This is before you roll to add on top. These are like the base attributes for your class. And then you roll on top of that to add to it. So you can get like, if you go full all out and you go like 75 is the highest you can put a skill right now, then it's possible to get 100 in a skill at level 1. And we'll look at that in a minute. Okay, second thing I'm gonna do is advantages. So over here, there's a meter skill advancement for class. Very simple. This meter is how quickly or slowly your skills advance. So if you put this all the way down here, using advantages over here, advantages raise the dagger, disadvantages lower it. And so if you put a bunch of disadvantages and lower your dagger all the way down here to 0.3, your skills will take a third of the time as they would normally to level up. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? When you think about it. And so, alternatively, if you stack a bunch of advantages, you'll be very slow. It'll take 3 times as long to level your skills. I do not recommend doing that, because that means you're just going to be playing the game for 3 times the amount of time. So yeah, I think it's best to keep around here, maybe a little bit lower than the middle. But I prefer to play it around this range, because if you put it all the way down here, you're gonna level up very quickly. In one dungeon, you'll go from like level 1 to like level 15, and then you'll miss all of the enemy tiers. You'll miss all the variation. You'll be at the end game where it's just Daedra and vampires, and that's all you'll ever fight. And I'm not a fan of that. So I think we're gonna keep it at average, maybe a little bit higher. So let's go ahead and look at the advantages. Let me pull up the advantages menu here. The advantages wiki. All right, advantages first. All right, here it is. You have a total of, I think it's 8 maximum advantages you can take at a time. I think so. I guess we'll see in a minute. But I'm going to explain them. So you click right here and you get all the possible advantages you can have. The first one's acute hearing. That's what it is. You hear things from far away. I will say that sometimes this is a detriment. Because I'm fairly sure it feels like if you hear something, then it's within your range of not being able to rest. So increasing that range means that it's going to be harder to rest inside of a dungeon, which is very important because that's how you get your spell points back most of the time. So yeah, I don't think it's that great of a power besides having it for roleplay. Adrenaline Rush, however, that is like a super mode that you, your combat attributes, it says on the wiki over here. I assume it's probably agility and stuff. It adds to your attributes whenever you get below 13% of your health. So it's like maybe it increases speed. That would be pretty good. I don't know what it does exactly, because I'm almost never at that level. If I'm at 13% health, I'm about to die, so it's not all that useful. Maybe you could have it like you'll survive one more attack, possibly. I don't think it's all that great. Athleticism, what it does is it makes your stamina decrease slower when you're running, jumping, climbing, and swimming. And also increases your jump height. Again, it's not all that necessary at all, especially when you have stuff like levitation and you have water walking spells. Really, it's only, again, all 3 of these, I think they're for roleplay, mostly. Bonus to hit is pretty important. Bonus to hit means it increases your damage against certain monsters. It's 1 point every single level that you have. So again, at max level 30, you'll get 1 plus 30 points of damage against monsters. However, you can only choose between these 4 categories. And so, like, if you choose animals, it's only animals. There's like, I don't even know, there's like 5 different animals in the game. Daedra is a pretty good choice. That's all of the end game. Undead as well. Humanoid, I don't think it's that important to kill humanoid, to take this for humanoid characters, because most humanoid characters are not that hard to attack. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and take bonus to hit Daedra and bonus to hit Undead. That's what I'm gonna choose. And you can see here that my dagger has gone up, so it's making it harder for me to level up my skills. Alright. Expertise. Expertise is similar to bonus to hit, but it's for a specific weapon type. So what it does is it increases accuracy by your level, and it increases your damage by your level divided by 3. So at max level, about 30, you'll be doing 10 extra points of damage. So I'm gonna choose Long Blade, because I'm planning on using long blades on this class. Alright, let's continue. Immunity is exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to become completely immune to a certain element and or disease, paralysis, and poison. It's pretty powerful. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's that important though, because it's very, very expensive. Let me click to magic and see it went that much higher. If you look at the dagger over here while I take this off, that's a big thing. And I think on my first playthrough I went with the immunity to fire, immunity to frost, and immunity to shock, and I went with that. I became completely immune. I had my difficulty dagger to 30. I think it's not that important to have immunity to things, mainly because in this game, magic is so powerful. You can immediately heal yourself. You can immediately cure all your diseases and poisons and paralysis. So I think I don't think it's that important. Again, beyond, roleplay reasons. Increased magery. Increased magery is kind of the most broken advantage you can take. Well, it's not the most broken, but it's something that every character should take it if they ever plan to use any magic. And that's exactly what it looks like right here on screen. It affects how much spell points you get. So normally you get half of your intelligence in spell points. But if you take this advantage, you increase that. And there's no reason not to take the highest one, 3 times your intelligence in spell points. Alright. Next up is Rapid Healing. Rapid Healing, what it does is it increases how fast you heal while you're resting. And you can take it in general, in darkness, or in light. I'll explain these real quick. In general is all the time. In darkness is when you're inside a building, or during the night, or while you're in a dungeon. I'd say 99% of combat happens in the dungeon. In light is only when you're outside of the dungeon, when it's in the day, in the light. Without any mods, you almost never fight in the light. And usually you're completely safe in town. There are times when you pick up a quest and it causes things to ambush you in town, and that's all fine and dandy. But rapid healing, I don't think it's that important unless you're playing very specifically a character who does not use magic and is really low endurance. Because most of the time it's not that big of a deal if you have to wait 1 or 2 extra hours to heal completely. Regenerate health, however, is a more powerful version of that. Instead of only whenever you're resting, you heal 15 HP per hour. So every 5 minutes you heal 15 HP. So that is more powerful than when you heal when resting, because that's just going to happen while you're in the dungeon. And you can do this one in general, darkness, or light, or while immersed in water. Again, I don't think that this is very necessary unless, again, you're playing low endurance, no magic, or it's a roleplay. Like if you say you're playing an Argonian, and you want to role play as a water, like a swamp person or whatever. While you're immersed in water, you heal. That's pretty cool. Resistance is a lesser version of immunity. Let's see, resistance. I think it's like half of immunity. So instead of 100% resistance, you only have 50%. Again, it's to disease, fire, frost, shock, magic, all the jazz. And finally, this is the one that's broken. Spell absorption. Spell absorption, it allows you to completely nullify any damage that the spell can do for you, assuming that you have enough spell points to absorb it. And that's based off of if you had cast the spell. So at higher levels, you'll get more and more magicka from the spell absorption. So what you can do is you can go to the Mage's Guild, go to the Spellmaker, and make yourself a fireball spell that does like crazy amounts of damage, and it's a radius on target. And so you walk up to your enemy, you walk straight into the room, you cast fireball at your own feet. You don't even ask what the size of the room was. You cast fireball. You take absolutely no damage because what happened was you use the spell. It reduces from your magicka pool. The spell fires. It hits the ground. It does all the damage. You absorb the spell when it hits you. And you get all of your spell points back because you cast that spell just now. And so now you basically walk up, you cast fireball, and everyone's dead, and you're safe. That is, like idealistic. That's not always going to happen, but still, it's super powerful in practice. I think it's a bit of a cheat. I think it's cheaty. I don't like to do it. It makes the game completely, like, no challenge at all. So I think we're not going to go for that. If we are, we'll do it later on with enchanting, which is a thing in this game. Okay. We'll get into that later. Special disadvantages. Let's go through that list. Okay, the first one's critical weakness. It's like immunity, but the exact opposite. It makes you 100% more likely to take that hit. Now, there's a difference between this, and it is my understanding that critical weakness and its sister, low tolerance, what that actually does is it makes you more likely to be hit with a spell. Let's say you get hit with a fireball. It makes it more likely that you're going to take damage from the fireball, but it will not cause the fireball to do more damage to you. It's going to do the same as it normally does. Now, that sucks and all, but considering how much skill dagger you get for it, how much it lowers the skill dagger, it's not that bad. Plus, if you choose stuff like disease and poison, not low tolerance, and paralysis, which is, I always do this. Look how the dagger went from like right here all the way down. It's great. Alright, let's continue. Damage. Damage is pretty powerful. So what it does is, it is a disadvantage. You choose from here, you choose holy places or from sunlight. That means if you go in any sort of temple, or if you're in the day, you will take 12 HP of damage every 4 in-game minutes. And every minute's a round, and a round is 5 seconds of real time. So every 20 seconds you take 12 HP of damage. That really sucks. Alright, that's awful. That's terrible to deal with. I would never take that. Besides roleplay, of course. That's the caveat to all of these. Darkness-powered magery. Darkness-powered magery and its sister, light-powered magery. What these do is it affects when you can have spell points. So for darkness, it means that when you're in the dark, you'll have your full spell points. However, if you choose unable to or lower, that's exactly what it means. Lower, I think it's like, what is it? It's like half of your spell points are available during the day, while you're out and about in the day, or you have 0, absolutely none. And while that's very powerful for the skill dagger, it's not very useful, because that means that while you'll have to enter the dungeon, and if you're unable to use magic during the daylight, you'll enter the dungeon with absolutely 0 magicka, and then you'll have to rest to get it back up, and that's going to take some time. Or if you take light powered, that means you'll never be able to use magicka in the dungeons. And as I've said already, 99% of your combat's going to happen inside of a dungeon. And having no magic in the dungeon actually is awful. That's like the worst debuff you can have for a mage character. Alright, moving on. Armor types, for all these forbidden things, that's exactly what it sounds like. As soon as you choose one of them, your character will never be able to use that type of whatever it is. So for armor types, the choices are chain, leather, and plate. Plate, you need plate. Let's be honest. Plate is great. Plate, so the way it works is leather is the very first level of armor you can have. Chain is the second. And from then on, plate. For the rest of the game, everything's plate. And plate armor gets very OP. At like Daedric, you have like, what is it? Every single piece of your armor gives you 21 points towards damage resistance. I don't know how it exactly works, but plate is great to have. You always want plate. It's a mantra. Plate is great. Plate is great. I hated when I was playing as the pre-made classes and I never was able to use plate. It sucks. Materials. These are all the materials that items can have. Note that the reason plate is great is because leather and chain do not have materials. Only plate does. And so plate is going to start out at iron and get all the way up to Daedric. Same with weapons. Start out at iron, get all the way to Daedric. And the material that your weapon is heavily affects how much damage and how good the weapon is. Same with the armor. And so at Daedric, at the Daedric level, it's something ridiculous. It's like a 21%, or sorry, it's like a 21 point modifier to both how much damage you do and your chance to land an attack. And so, yeah, if I were to choose one from this list, it would be something like Dwarven or Elven, because these are the same level, or Mithril and Adamantium are the same level. I'm not going to choose forbidden stuff. Shield types, it's, buckler, kite shield, round, tower shield. And weaponry is all of the weapon classes. Here is a not so good debuff. Inability to regen spell points is exactly what it sounds like. It's like having Atronach ability from later games. You have to get your magicka from potions. Now, potions are very inaccessible in this game. I don't think I've ever actually dealt with potions in this game yet. I'm pretty sure you get potions either from the Dark Brotherhood, which are in this game, the Thieves Guild, or the temples. There's some temples that you can join, and they have potion making services. You cannot make a potion by yourself in this game. There's not an alchemy skill. So inability to regen spell points, that's suicide for a mage character. However, if you're playing a character who's never going to use spells, you're like, I'm okay with having potions, then what you do is you come in here, you get darkness powered magery, unable to use magic in daylight, and you get let's see, and then you get light powered magery, unable to use them in darkness. That means you'll never be able to use any magic, and then you get inability to use spell points. That's a massive lowering of your skill dagger over here. I'm not going to do that though. Alright, and finally, phobia. Phobia is like the opposite of bonus to hit. It means that you're gonna be able to hit an enemy type less. I'm gonna choose animals because there's, like I said, there's not very many animal monsters in this game. And I think that's it. So we've got our skill advancement. Class dagger is all the way down here. So how do we raise it up so that way it's not in the red and we can't make our class? Well, you come over here to the hit points per level. What this means is that the maximum hit points you can get in your level, right now it's 8, and you add that with your endurance modifier. I think mine's 2 right now, so that'd be 10 maximum hit points per level. The lowest is not 1 plus 2 as you might think, but it's actually half of whatever your maximum hit points is. So for my character right now at 8 max hit points, it can have at the very lowest 4 hit points plus the endurance, which is plus 2. So that's 6 hit points is the minimum amount of health I can gain when I level up. It's also important to remember endurance is not retroactive, and this is also not, this never increases. So once you choose this number, the only way you can get more health is increasing endurance. And even then, you don't want to invest in endurance too late into the game, because then it's not going to have barely any effect. Alright, so here's where it gets crazy, because most of the pre-made classes have around 8 maximum hit points. Some of them have even lower, 4. Some of them have very high, but when you're making a class like this, you can put it all the way up to 30. That is OP. Alright, because that means that the minimum you can get is 15 plus your endurance. That is so great. It's impossibly great. That means you're gonna have like double what normal characters would ever have. I say normal. It shouldn't be like this. It should be something like 15 for most classes and then 30 for the really beefy ones. Anyways, let's finish this off with the skills. So, skills in this game, it works differently than it does in Morrowind. And it's pretty impressive how much they set up here with how the skills work to the series. This is the first game to have skills. The way that leveling works is you have to level up 15 times in any combination of your primary, major, and minor skills. Well, any specific combination, because your highest minor skill, your highest 2 major skills, and all 3 of your primary skills are the skills that contribute to your level up. So if I have a minor skill that is at 15 and I have another minor skill that is at 14, if I was to level up the level 14 minor skill to 15, that would not contribute to my level up until one of them reaches 16. And then, again, if the level 15 one reaches level 16, that will not contribute. However, if in one skill I level up 4 times, well, that contributed 4 times to my level up. However, there's an additional thing that's kind of weird. Once you level one of your 3 primary skills to 100, every other skill is locked to a maximum of 95, not 100. So once you reach 100 and say the first primary skill, then every other skill cannot level to 100, only 95. However, if you level a skill to 100 that's not your primary skill before you reach a 100 in your primary skill, then they will stay at 100. Let's say you take all of the magic skills, and like none of them are in your primary, and you get all of them to 100 before you get one in your primary to 100. That means that you have the maximum possible ability of spellcasting, and you can technically get every single skill except for 2 of them to 100, and the other 2 will be 95. That's going to take a long time. That's going to take a long time to do, even with the lowest possible skill dagger. I don't think it's that important to min-max like that, really, but All right. So, here's the class. I've got Backstabbing and Critical Strike and Long Blade. They're all my melee attack skills. Backstabbing is like the critical attack you do when you do sneaking, except it's not dependent on sneaking. It's just you have to be behind the character to initiate a backstab. There's no stealth critical. The critical is the backstabbing skill. Critical Strike, despite what it's named, literally all it does is it makes it easier to hit something. And Long Blade. Long Blade, that's probably going to be the one that reaches 100 first. Long Blade is great. Long Blade's probably the most it's the most min-maxing skill you can take, because Long Blade has the highest damage weapon in the game. So we'll definitely get into that. Major skills: Destruction, Restoration, and Thaumaturgy. Not too big of a deal. I just wanted them to be something I could easily get up. And Destruction and Restoration are great to have. Thaumaturgy too. Because Thaumaturgy isn't in the later games. They kind of merged it into a couple other skills. It's like Swift Swim and Pacify, and like Charm, Levitate, stuff like that. So it kind of gets like merged into Illusion and Alteration in later games. Climbing, because climbing is a pretty good skill to have. And running and jumping, I was thinking of doing those, but running and jumping is pretty easy to level. You just do that while you're in town, do that all the time essentially. Dodging, again, it basically increases your chance to not be hit. Stealth, pretty obvious. I am a Nightblade. Alteration, Illusion, and Mysticism. My plan is to get all of the magic skills to 100 before I get one of my primaries to 100. Alright. Oh yeah, I also added athleticism to my advantages. So my advantages are bonus to hit Daedra, bonus to hit Undead, expertise in Longblade, increased magery to 3 times, and athleticism. And my disadvantages are critical weakness to disease, critical weakness to poison, critical weakness to paralysis, and phobia of animals. The final thing you can do in this screen is edit reputations. This again affects that dialogue menu. Basically, it makes it easier to talk to people and ask them directions. I also think this affects whether or not you can get certain quest givers can give you a quest, because these are factions, and so if you go to a nobility, if you go to a noble, and you talk to them, they might not give you a quest, they'll just open the dialogue menu. If they have a lower reputation, but if they have a higher reputation, then they'll more likely like you. They'll probably give you a better quest too. I don't know for sure. I never really bothered with it. So yeah, we're just gonna leave those at 0. Let's continue to the next part. Would you like to fast start by automatically generating your character's background? You will be able to adjust starting attributes and skills within the character sheet. Or choose your character's career path by answering 12 important character decisions that will influence character background. It's important to always answer the questions, because you will actually gain certain things. You'll start out with more items. It's possible you'll get an ebony dagger. There's no reason not to answer the 12 questions, so let's go ahead and do that. What thieving skill have you been studying the longest? I'm gonna say jumping. What school of magic have you been studying the longest? Let's go with what did I have? I'm gonna go with mysticism. Where is your expertise in combat? Hand to hand, in case I don't have a long blade, or it breaks ever. As a child, your name was Scrapper. Sure. I don't remember what these do. I'm pretty sure Scrapper gives you bonus to hand as well. You are friendlier than most with the Infernal Daedra. As you grew older, you received additional training in alteration. In between formal study, you spent your time learning economics. Of all disagreeable types, you have the most personal hatred for diabolic wizards. What motivates you into a life of adventure? I'm gonna say helping others. What god, if any, do you worship? None. Before you set out for the Imperial City, your mother gave you her favorite book. You have the most trouble staying awake and alert. Alright, and your reputation has changed as follows. Commoners are higher and scholars are higher. Nice. Okay, it's time to name. I'm gonna be called Fabel. And my face. We're going with this one. Here's the dice roll. So you can see some of the effects of your attributes here, you know, damage and endurance. Apparently it's, yeah, strength is every 5 points. Alright, and then intelligence, willpower, yeah, it's not all that great. Agility, again, this is what? This is 2%. It's minus 2% to hit. A very low effect. Endurance. Can't quite see it. There we go. And then personality and speed, you can't see. Luck. Alright. And then you can go over here and save your roll. And then re-roll. And if this is worse than it was before, you can load it. Alright, let's go ahead and get the best we can. Alright, that's perfect. Don't need to go any further. Alright. So my plan is I'm gonna get all of these to 80. And then we're gonna raise them all to 100 at once using some we'll get there. Right. Alright, this is a perfect stat spread for what I want. So let's go ahead and continue. Now this shows This is where you add a couple more bonus points to your skills. I'm gonna add to climbing and dodging. Actually, dodging the most. And yeah, there we go. All right. And so now, let's make these even. Make this good. All right. So now that I've distributed everything, that way it can be as low as possible. Let me just do some math real quick to see what my highest level is. So yeah, my maximum level is gonna be 29. All right, and because of that, well, yeah, okay. So that's good. All right, continue. Reflexes determine the overall speed of the game. Basically, it means monsters will be faster. I'm putting very high. And the reason why, there's no reason not to, because this is 2025. It's not very high reflexes. I've played a Dark Souls game. And having a higher reflex will actually mean that my character will level faster. Alright. This is my character. Because of that questionnaire with the 12 questions, that will add to my pre-generated character background. It's based off of whatever pre-made class your custom class is closest to. So, yeah. But you can only read that in game after the cutscenes, so. But I'm probably gonna edit it up that way we don't have to worry about it later. So anyways, I'm ready to begin this game. So here we go.